everyone. Welcome to Nintendo Nostalgia. This is your host, Josh, and I am here with special guest, Cody. I believe, is this your second episode you've been on?
I think this is my first episode.
Is it your first? I could have sworn you were here before. Well, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, sir. Really tired. Been working a lot as we went over during the pre-show while we were chatting.
Oh yeah.
But doing well. How about yourself?
About the same. I have been a bit busy with a bunch of stuff. I'll get more into that later. But yeah, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Ready to talk Mario Party and everything around that for the next little bit. I actually wanted to kind of let everybody know a little more about you. I know you have made some awesome game-related stuff. Also, your current career, so to speak, I guess, is related to that. So if you want to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually found you guys because Ryan had messaged me about some of the Game Boy stuff that I was posting on my Instagram and sharing on my Facebook. And that started, I think at this point, 4 or 5 years ago, just modding Game Boys and trying to bring them back to life. I started with my very first one was a Game Boy Pocket that I just reshelled, and I didn't realize that they did a whole lot of screen modification or sound modification. It was just a community that I had no clue that I was going to get involved with as deeply as I did. And over the years, I found a couple of other cool communities that were sharing some tips about doing backlights and biverting screens and sound mods and full-on metal shells. And so when I started applying some of my own technical know-how, I really found a hobby that I enjoyed. And I was able to turn these things into pieces of art rather than just kind of rot a little bit or age or go into ruin, and restoring some of that old stuff has been a huge passion. I've got just about every single Game Boy that in terms of models that they've done, including a Game Boy Light. Those were Japan exclusive. You never see those in America. I got a really good deal on one at one point. It came in near perfect condition, so I haven't touched it to change it because it just feels like such a timepiece that I don't want to ruin. But I mean, as far as games, most of my interest is in the handheld stuff, and the Switch has kind of helped meld all of my hopes and dreams of getting console level games to the handheld market. So that's a big portion of what I do with my free time, man.
I totally get that. I don't think I really have the know-how for that, but I can totally see myself getting into something like that, being a little creative with what you already love, like you said, sort of making art out of it. And honestly, I guess it's even playable still. So that's kind of a nice plus. Yeah, so that is cool. And you said you also work with GameStop and you do a lot of traveling with that as well, don't you?
Yeah, so I started with GameStop like 7 years ago and loved my job. I got to come on as a seasonal associate back during Black Friday a lot of years ago at this point, and just kind of worked my way up the old corporate ladder. Get to do quite a few things now as a district manager for there. Love my job. It's really easy when you're passionate about the things that you sell, and in a lot of ways, I let my hobby be my lifestyle, and so nothing really stops. I know during the last Nintendo Direct, I got to go home and watch that, and that was actually work, which was cool. I was really excited about that Nintendo Direct. It was really good, man.
Painfully jealous. No, that's great. It really is. I definitely can't say I am passionate about what I do, but it is really cool knowing, glad you got something like that you can really put some passion behind. I hope that keeps working out for you and you end up, whatever your goals may be with that.
Thank you.
But yeah, what I want to go ahead and jump into next year, because I guess we do have a good handful of things. There's only 2 of us here today, but we do have a couple things to cover. Let's go ahead and jump into what we are Radical Rexing about. All right. I will go ahead and let you go first, Cody. What have you got going on that may be of some interest?
So, as far as gaming goes, I'm a Nintendo diehard, but there's a few things out there that I like to dip my toes into. Elden Ring has pretty much captured all of my attention as of late. That game has gotten 10 out of 10s, and I totally understand why it's gotten 10 out of 10s. Started out as a vagabond in that game and just trying to build off of that and figure out what direction I want to go with it. But in terms of Nintendo stuff, I've been bouncing back and forth between Pokemon Legends Arceus, which is phenomenal. I really appreciate the approach they changed from gotta be the very best to gotta catch them all. So it's been really fun grinding that out, and that was not the way that I traditionally play those games. But I'm super glad that I have something that I can kind of go kill time. And then my before bed game has been Ollie Ollie World, and I don't know if you've got the chance to play that one, but it's like the platforming Tony Hawk's Pro Skater style element with that Adventure Time artwork. I love that game. Soundtrack's amazing. Super laid back, super chill. All the tricks are assigned to your sticks and your triggers. So once you really get into that zen kind of state of mind when you're playing that game, everything just kind of chains together really, really well. I love that game. That's by far probably, even between Elden Ring being a 10 out of 10 and Pokemon Legends Arceus, that's been the thing that I look forward to the most. What about yourself, man? What are you Radical Rexing about?
I remember, I almost forgot it existed. I think I played an Ollie Ollie game on the Wii U. I can't remember if it was like a 1 or a 2 or something. I might have to look into that world. That sounds kind of nice.
Super good.
Well, for myself, really, one of the things I've been into the most, actually, I have been just trying out some different things with my time, because I obviously have a bad gaming habit. But no, I decided to pick up reading some again, on and off since, probably have graduated high school in 2007, getting old. I have actually picked up reading mostly, if I do, it's like Star Wars or something. And once again, it is Star Wars again this time. So I take that back. Actually, I started with the Guardians of the Galaxy book. So there we go. There's one that's not Star Wars. It tied into the recent video game. It was like a prequel to that game, which is a great game, by the way. I played it on my Xbox One. But no, I've been reading the Thrawn series. There's like 3 Thrawn books, like recent ones. I think there were some back in the 90s, but like the recent canon ones, I guess. And I don't think I've ever done this in my life, but I finished like a 400 and some, almost 500 page book in like a week and 2 days.
Oh my gosh.
With the first one. And now I've got the second one. My wife ordered me the second one. And I've been a little bit busy the past couple days since I got it. I might have just got it yesterday, so I haven't made it as far. But yeah, I could definitely see me getting through that. So that just feels good to, have a somewhat, I don't want to say like meaningful. That sounds kind of like really harsh. Just having a different kind of hobby going, a different way to sort of disconnect from things that even ties into something I've got going on the side. I might have mentioned before, I've been kind of poking around at writing a kid's book and stuff. So it's just good to keep that in my mind. So those are great. If you're into that stuff, if you like Star Wars, if you know who Thrawn is, I would definitely recommend those. Now, outside of that, I got to play I'm hoping a lot of people have at this point, the Kirby and the Forgotten Land demo today. And that just
that came out.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere. So I downloaded it and played it as soon as I could. And I really enjoyed it. I love 3D platformers, and I think a lot of us were maybe sort of hoping it was a little more Mario Odyssey-esque instead of 3D World. It is more 3D World than Odyssey, I would say. Just it's a very rough comparison, but the layout, it's kind of got levels and things like that. But it definitely has its own feel to it as well. It's not 3D World, and I like that game a lot. But it's definitely got that Kirby flair to it, where there's different transformations. It's not wasn't too super difficult. Granted, it's like the first world, but it has a nice aesthetic to it. There's new things to the series that I've already seen just in the demo. It just feels good to run around. So to me, that's a good sign.
That. How expansive is that demo anyway? Do you get a lot of time with it?
It has sort of like 3 stages. The first one's sort of an intro-y one. The second one is, I would say, is it has like little side missions. They're kind of a mystery at first. It's a little longer. It felt like a more full level. And it's, to compare it again maybe to 3D World, there's not like a timer on it. The level felt longer than I would say any of those levels are. So it definitely has its own sort of flow to it. It's just that similar layout, so to speak, or similar flow to it, where it's like a level and then a world map. You didn't really get to see the world map in this, but from what I've heard, there is that. And then the last level in it is pretty short, but it leads into a boss fight.
Okay.
So, and I don't want to spoil it. I will say you get a couple choices on what to go at with the boss. I would recommend Ice. I don't know what the other ones do, but the Ice did something pretty cool.
Okay.
I'll just leave it at that. And also when you beat the demo, there's like little bonuses afterwards, but you know, if you can't get enough of it and you just want to go back and mess around, it changes it up a little bit. Gosh, apparently I have a lot I'm radical Rexing about because I just thought of something else.
That's awesome.
I'm hit and miss sometimes on Pokemon. Not to go over my full history. Back in the late 90s, when I always kept up with Nintendo Power, I was a weird kid and hated Pokemon because it overtook Zelda in my Nintendo Power, like in the rankings, and it made me mad. And everybody else liked it, and I guess I thought I was like a hipster or something. I was like, no, this stinks. I hate this. So I got mad at it for a long time, and then I just kind of like didn't care. Long story short, I eventually kind of I did get into Pokemon. It took a while.
I understand.
But no, I missed out on the remakes this past November, and I really want to play this, but I'm really trying to save $60 right now. So I don't know. Don't know if I'm ever going to get that one. It looks really good. But yeah, with this new one, I definitely think I will be trying to save it for that one, for Violet and Scarlet, or whichever one. My wife will probably actually get the other one. That's one of the few games series I've gotten her to pick up on a couple times with Moon. And then she got Sword and I got Shield. So that's worked out pretty nicely. The starters in this look very nice. I'm very happy with those. I like I can't think of his name. He's the fire one.
Oh, the
little
derpy
alligator.
apple dragon.
Yeah, the little derpy apple dragon. I like him. He with those little tiny stubby arms. So that's definitely who I'm going for. It's just nice to see more coming out this year. It seems to be a pretty packed year once things get rolling. Kirby seems to kind of start it. Yeah, outside of that, I will add pretty excited to go to Indiana again this weekend. Funny enough, I don't know if I'm going to see Jake O'Brien or any of them while I'm there, just to see family. But yeah, it's always nice to just get a change of scenery, if nothing else, for a few days.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's enough about me and what I have going on right now. I guess with all that, we will go ahead and get rolling into the topic. We're going to talk about Mario Party. So to clarify just a little bit here, we're going to start out talking about sort of the series as a whole, and then we're going to focus down a little bit on Superstars, since it's the newest release and hopefully the one that will be adding more content in the future. I very much hope so anyway. So yeah, first actually what we'll start with, kind Cody, I know with myself, I basically started the series when it started. I picked up the first game on the 64, and if I remember correctly, I've kept up with it like consistently. At least all the numbered titles. There's been, I think, 2 of the handheld ones I was a little behind on, but and I haven't played. I think there's one on the 3DS I didn't play at all. But outside of that, though, pretty much played them all. I've stuck with it mostly as it's come out. Did you start there in the same, or did you pick up some later? Or?
I didn't. I actually, when I jumped into that series, I'm trying to remember what year it was. I stumbled across it. My cross country and track coach in high school was also my youth pastor. So I would, in between practice and youth group, I would go to his house, and he had a GameCube in the basement. My first entry point to Mario Party was Mario Party 7, the one with the microphone. And conveniently, that's the one that also has the warmest place in my heart. But from 7 onward, I pretty much played nearly all of those fairly consistently. And it wasn't until like a few years later when I started getting back into video game collecting, I went back and grabbed the first 3. They were a Christmas gift. Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 for the Nintendo 64, and I was super, super stoked to have those. But no, like... 7 was my jumping off point.
Huh. That's well, it literally is an odd number. So yeah, but yeah, that's a cool place to start. For that one, for me, I will say it kind of gets blurry for me in that like 5, 6, and 7 range. I think there was just so many. Like I got them all, but like they're still on the GameCube. You haven't really been able to go back to the GameCube since then. And especially 6 and 7 kind of mixed together in my brain some. So I'm pretty sure I really do like that one. It's just been a little while since I've really dug into it.
I understand.
And I mean, would you consider that one like your favorite one, or do you have a favorite one? Or?
You know, honestly, yeah. 7 and 8 leading into the Wii, I think, are 2 of my tops. And that was also before they started doing the whole cart mechanic where they put everybody in a cart and you go along a track. But 7, my sister didn't play a whole lot of games growing up, and she was the only one I really had to play video games with other than my dad. My dad was not interested in mini games. We got a lot of time with Mario Kart 64, got a lot of time with Mario Kart Double Dash. Super Smash Bros. Melee came out. Me and my dad played Melee all the time, and of course any of the like traditional Mario stuff in general. But really, 7 was kind of the game that me and my sister got to play quite a bit on. She was 5 years younger than me too, so not a whole lot of intersecting interests in general. But I would definitely have to say that was my favorite, and part of that was just that bonding time I got with my family, more specifically with my sister, who just did not play video games.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I guess with this series with myself, I feel like with at least most of them, I almost sort of have like separate memories for like each numbered thing, just because they were at different times in life. So it's kind of cool that it's still rolling. Like I know with 1, like, you know, our house was being worked on, all kinds of stuff was going on around it. I just really remember that sort of like a scene in my head. 3 in particular, I remember my sister had a dance recital and my grandma went over to the mall and bought me a game, and it was Mario Party 3. It was like, you know, goofy stuff like that. My favorite, and again, it's been a little while since I've played some of them, is probably 4. Okay. And some of that, it might be a mix between like my own memories and I just think it's a really solid entry. Is a lot of it, like that's probably the one I played the most with family back then, with just different sides. It's just kind of the way it landed. And we went back to that one a lot. And it's a very safe one, I guess, like where some of the other ones get a little more gimmicky and, you know, even after that and not so much before that maybe, but it was a sort of a step up from the N64. Right. And it was a very, I don't know how else to put it, a very safe entry, but it's just sort of Mario Party in my head. Like that's sort of the definition of it. Mm-hmm. If you go back to that one. Now, another one, I'll mention this for my wife because she's been in a actually want to mention that here in a minute. She's been in a group with us playing Mario Party, and we'll get to that part here in a second. But she wants a special shout out to Mario Party 8 in particular, and I want to say I like that one a lot as well. A lot of people aren't big on the motion control stuff just in general, but I think it fit Mario Party actually kind of perfectly. And 8, I think, knew like it wasn't trying to be super precise. Like I think sometimes 9 kind of got where like you needed to be super precise with stuff. 8 was just a little more like crazy party game with it, which was, I think, worked perfectly fine for it. And I guess another thing on 8 is shout out to it is the boards. The 6 boards on there like all had different roles. Yeah. The Koopa one had like I won't call it Monopoly. I don't really know what to call that one. But it's like where you're buying the hotels and you can buy them from each other. And one was just like a race. One was a maze. Mm-hmm. It had some of the best boards in the whole series, I think. I guess I could go on and talk about all the different entries in this pretty much all night because, well, there's quite a few of them.
There's so many.
I will say, like, and you didn't necessarily like grow up with it quite as long as I guess I did, but what were your thoughts on the car mechanic, I guess? I may call that out for just a second. I know you didn't have as long to sort of stew over it maybe as some others did, so maybe it didn't bother you, but
I would so the biggest thing for me with the car mechanic that they did with that game, especially 10 was probably the first place that I really cared about it, because 10's boards were set up in such a way that if one person suffered, everyone suffered, and I think for a board game mechanic, it made it really dependent on bonus stars and being really skillful in the mini games. I like the fact that they did that, but I did not necessarily like the fact that I was tethered to my movement being specifically in a vehicle. So it was almost like I was playing a competitive game, but cooperatively, hoping that we all just had some moderate success. But I'm with you, like, as far as coming up with it, while I didn't necessarily grow up with Mario Party being like one of my biggest focuses in my household, I did do a whole lot of board games with my sister, and that's probably why it was easy to kind of transfer that attention over to Mario Party and get her into doing some video gaming with me. But I would have to say there was a small amount of frustration that I was tethered to others' success on those boards, when realistically I just wanted to strategize. You and I have played Superstars quite a bit with each other, and the way that I play on there is very similar to how I played in the past. Agent of chaos as much as I possibly can be. Yeah. But no, I don't know. I think the cart mechanic added an extra gimmick that just really wasn't necessary and caused a lot of people, including a portion of myself, to just be like, why don't they do the old thing again?
Kind of how I felt. It was a little unnecessary. Maybe at the time I was okay with it because we'd already had like 8 mainline, pretty standard Mario parties, and 9. I was interested. I was cautiously interested in it, and it was okay. Then I was kind of over it, and then they brought it back for 10 for some reason. That was when I was like, why?
Yep. Was this going to be the formula we were going to be doing for the eternity of Mario Party?
Yeah, I could definitely tell. I won't go over the whole thing, but there was sort of a difference in the quality after when Indie Cube took over. Mm-hmm. That's no offense to that team, but I just didn't feel like it was the same, at least for a little while. There's still a few missteps, but I think things have gotten a bit better. Now, outside of that, I actually wanted to read a little bit from our group. We have a pretty active, really great little Facebook group for the Nintendo Nostalgia Chat here, and we ask a few questions in there about Mario Party sort of as a series, some people's favorites. I wanted to call out one in particular here first. Like Cody had half mentioned, we have actually had a little group going. We played online several times. It's been like me and my wife Danielle, Cody, and and your wife joined us once.
Yep.
And Michelle and I believe her boyfriend once maybe with us. I'm trying to remember. Regardless, though, Michelle was not able to make it here tonight. But I wanted to call out her list here, and to be perfectly honest with you, it has looked like it has disappeared, and I could have sworn she sent it to us.
Oh, no.
I want to shout out to her here. I don't know what happened. We'll make it up to you. We'll try to squeeze it in somewhere here else later. I do apologize a lot. She is a ton of fun to play with, though, on there, and we really do appreciate her being part of the group. So I wanted to at least call her out while we're on here.
Absolutely. I don't think I'd have near as much fun. She's super witty, super funny. And I think in a lot of ways, even when she had to be Robo Michelle and the game kicked her out, it worked in her favor so much. Like it was great.
Yeah. The quick story behind that is she was playing as Birdo, and her Wi-Fi just completely died and kicked her out, and it took her over. So she was Robo Michelle for a little while. She made it back eventually, though. But yeah, outside of that, just to read off a few things here to sort of get a good look at just if there's any sort of common denominators here, favorites and that sort of thing, was mostly what I was wanting to do. By the way, real quick, I don't think I mentioned this with myself. My personal favorite go-to character since the beginning, which almost in anything, Smash Brothers, Mario Kart, is Yoshi. That's just, it is what it is. It's been that way since, like, I don't know, Super Mario Kart or something. So I don't see that changing. I do like the Donkey Kong characters a lot, but, you know, Diddy kind of gets the short end of the stick a lot. So Yoshi's usually the one I go to. I think I know yours.
Guess it. Let's hear it.
I'm getting people mixed up here, but Waluigi.
I would absolutely. No, 100% Waluigi. When Waluigi is not available, I go Wario. And part of that is that same kind of vibe that you have. I mean, the moment that I played Super Mario Land 3, which was specifically just Wario Land, it was Wario. That's all that game was.
It was.
He's been one of my go-to favorite characters in nearly everything. Mario Kart 64, leading on up into Mario Power Tennis, and even playing Mario Party. Like I love going for Wario if Waluigi's not available. Waluigi's just so. He is actual chaos. So
it's just nonsense. I kind of like having a safe character as well. Some people's like, oh, I like Shy Guy. It's like, you don't get to play as him all the time. Where Yoshi's like, no, he's pretty much got perfect attendance across this stuff.
Yep.
But I'll jump in here first with Jacob, a few of the other hosts here. So he put his favorite one is Mario Party 1, I'm assuming. Of course, DK is his favorite character. The DK Jungle, I believe that's just the full name of it, isn't it? And that first game would be his favorite board.
Yep.
And he mentioned his favorite minigame, the way he described it, I'm pretty sure he's talking about Crazy Cutters, which is a great one. It's actually one of my favorite ones. I can usually do pretty good at it. There's a few times here, I think we even played it online, where lag makes that game a whole different game.
Unplayable.
It's almost, I don't want to say it's more fun, but it's still fun just because it's a disaster. I don't know how to explain it. So yeah, that's some of his stuff. We've got Ryan, Mario Party 2. Seems to be a good popular one. He said Birdo or Boo. He said specifically not King Boo. Any spooky levels are his favorite. And Crazy Cutters. There's another Crazy Cutters there. There's like a boatload of mini games, so I could see that being really difficult if you can remember them all. Mm-hmm. Now Chris said Mario Party 4. He agreed with me. His character is Waluigi.
My boy.
Yeah. His board he picked was Towering Treetop from Mario Party 6. That was the one where the, let's see, there was like a little treehouse town connected to it. I think I remember that one.
The tree had a face. It's been a little while. It was super strange.
Yeah. There were some pretty neat ones, I think, in that game, come to think of it. And then he mentioned Mr. Blizzard's Brigade. Oh, I was putting down some of my favorite mini games and I forgot to list that one. That one's a great one.
Fun fact: the Mario Party 6 was the first time they did the mic mechanic, and so they integrated it fully into 7. So
yeah, the mic's one of those weird things, and I guess I'm kind of going off on another thing here, but that lasted for like 2 games and then just kind of disappeared. But we had some fun with it. I remember me and my cousin trying to cheat the system and try to get a certain dice block to roll. I don't remember if, I think Did You Know Gaming even did a video and mentioned that, and I can't remember if that was an actual thing or if it wasn't, but I swear I feel like we got that working. But anyway, we have a pretty decent list here. Just to kind of go through a couple things quickly, I apologize if I'm skipping around, but Tony Hutchinson here, his favorite is Mario Party 5. He likes Leaf Leap as a mini game. That's one I feel like I'm pretty good at. I'm pretty good at that one. Longtime friend Zach Adams here. His favorite character is Birdo, which seems kind of funny, but I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like how he mentions in his message. It's almost just started as like a joke. He just started picking Birdo to be different, and now he's just consistently Birdo. Mm-hmm. So yeah, who else we got here? Let me grab another one. I apologize again if I missed you. Michael Paracoon, Mario Party 2 is another favorite. He likes the costumes in that one, which is a nice thing they never brought back.
Right.
Now here's an interesting one for a character: is Koopa Kid or Kids? I don't think they've popped up for a good while.
I think the last game was 5.
I think 5? It was. I think so. It was one of them. They might have been in 6 or 7 or something. I feel like I remember there being a different collared one or some nonsense there. But yeah, they just sort of disappeared. Bowser Jr. came in and they disappeared. He likes the Pirate Board from 2. That one is an awesome one. And Fuzzy Flight School, the motion-controlled minigames. Some of those are really good. Just mentioned that before. I think that one's an 8, I think. Well, anyhow. Yeah, those are good answers, though. I apologize again, Michelle. I was looking for it. I don't see it. Oh, no. Well, with all that, though, I do want to move on to talking some about Superstars here before we go on too long. With the new one, like I said, we've sort of had a group going online every couple weeks or so. We've just kind of got on a board and played a decent amount of a game, maybe 15, 20 turns. I'd like to get a really long one going, but being an adult sometimes is hard.
Absolutely.
But no, I can say for myself, we've put a lot of time into this game, especially more around the time it released. We've slowed down a little bit, mostly because of there only being 5 boards. But I really feel like this one, to kind of give my general thoughts, is a good step more in the right direction than maybe even not Superstars. Shoot, I can't remember the name of the last one.
Super Mario Party. That one was Super
Mario Party. Yeah, this is a little bit confusing on the wording. I'll just say the last one, I guess. Perhaps even a little better than the last one. But yeah, I hope they stick with this sort of format. It's a little safe, I guess, since they're just bringing back old boards. But I think what is there is perfectly fine. I think the minigame they brought back are mostly really great. I think the number of them is a good, healthy number. The characters are fine. There's not a whole lot of them. There's like half of what was in the last game for some reason.
Yep.
Which it's not a huge deal to me in Mario Party, since everybody kind of plays the same anyway. Right. And I still have Yoshi. Yeah, that feels like a weird thing to sort of just not have there. And again, the lack of boards is the biggest problem I have here. It's even worse than Super Mario Party. There was only 4 in that one, and one I don't even think I liked. At least in this one, I like all these. Granted, I kind of grew up with all these, but
are there boards that maybe you avoid more often than the others?
In Superstars?
Yeah.
Probably, I'm wanting to say the one we do the least is is it Woody Woods?
Yes, Woody Woods.
It's the one from 3. And I really like Mario Party 3. That's one of my favorite ones. But that board doesn't stick out in my head real well anyway. So it's like the nostalgia part isn't there real strong. Any of the other boards in 3 are. Right. And it's just, I kind of feel like you get stuck, or you just kind of end up in a circle.
You do, especially if like you're playing short games. So like when my wife and I've been fighting against CPUs. We rack up the difficulty up to hard, but the RNG in that game with the signs twisting and changing your path and direction is just frustrating because we did a couple of short rounds on that map and no one even touched a star. That was how crazy it was. So it literally came down to bonus stars at the end of the game, and I think that's why I avoid that one.
For sure, and I really think I don't have a whole lot to complain about really on the other 4. I feel like one kind of funny thing I will say on the I've played it a million times over the years and I can't remember the name of it. I want to say the Haunted Mansion because of my Disney World obsession. But
Horrorland. That one's my favorite one on this game. Okay,
I love that board. It was great in 2. It's great here. Mm-hmm. Don't play it with the computer if you can at all help it.
Absolutely,
especially with. Yeah, because, and you might know where I'm going with this, is they get those stupid chomp whistles. Mm-hmm. Like any opportunity, any shop, they stop on an item, square or whatever it is, they'll go after them, and they just constantly use them. I don't know if the CPU is just broken or what. They'll do whatever they have to do. They'll jump in front of a bus if they have to get the chomp whistle. Mm-hmm. And it is the most annoying thing when I've sat down and it's just like me and my wife trying to play, or even when we've had my daughter jump in on a few rounds. If there is even one CPU there, they will go after those stupid things and blow them constantly, and you can't get a star most of the time.
No.
So they're just super annoying. I don't care if they're on easy or whatever, they still do it. Outside of that, though, the board is still a whole lot of fun. And one thing I'm trying to remember, it was probably there in 2, and I'm just forgetting, is King Boo up in the top right-hand corner. He only comes out at night, like most of the Boos except for the one.
On the bottom left. Yeah,
if you get 150 coins, you can pay him to steal a star from the other 3 players. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's sort of, again, I don't remember that very well from the 64 version. It may have been there. I think it was Big Boo, but pretty much same thing.
Yep.
But yeah, that I think kind of adds to the fun of this board that I don't even hardly remember from the past. Is just, do you want to go for that? Like, that could be your strategy. If you want to build up that 150 coins, if you think you have enough turns, and if everybody else is pulling ahead, you might just want to focus solely on getting those coins up, because that's one of those things where it's not only are you gaining 3 stars, everyone is losing 1. So that can completely turn the game around. And it sounds a little overpowered, but maybe it kind of is, but you really have to build towards that anyway.
It's expensive. You've got to have a key. You have to hit it at the right time. I think the balancing act that you're doing there is, I mean, it's well worth doing that strategy, and it does protect the fun of the game still yet.
Oh, yeah, I think it's really well done there. There are certain things, is it the musical instruments, I think? I can almost never get that to happen.
Yep.
Just where it's like out on the board, and I think it has to be night or something, and that there's a womp there that just, like, it'll turn to stone once it's nighttime. And if it isn't already moved and it's not nighttime when you get there, like, you're never going to see that play out. I don't even think it's anything all that important. It's just kind of irritating when I can't get up there. But no, the board has a lot of different twists and turns to it, different ways to get around, sort of mess with other players. I think it is. I could definitely understand it being a popular favorite. I guess while we're talking about that on Superstars, this is probably all nostalgia and based off of my favorite character, but I would say the Yoshi one's my favorite. It's also one that I remember, like, back in the 64 days, I would go there and I would play as Yoshi, and it's one of those things where if I was playing against the CPU, you could pause the game, you could take over the CPU, and if they would get to a star, just say no. Lead them into some mess, point them towards Bowser, and then go back to your player. I would totally cheat. But again, it's probably an all nostalgic answer there. But yeah, that one's probably one of my favorite boards, just in general. It's a little funny to me that, like, Toadette's there instead of Toad.
Right.
I don't quite understand why, because he's not playable.
No. He's your guide at the beginning of the round before he hands you off.
Yeah, like I don't quite understand that part. It's not, again, that's not that important. Nothing against Toadette either. It's just like it's all the 64, or these are all 64 maps. Toad was the star dude through all those. It's like, why didn't they just use Toad? He's not really doing anything else. Mm-hmm. Whatever. But yeah, it's still it can be a frustrating one at times when you're like right there at the star and then Bowser pops up and all of that. But it's still good fun, especially when somebody gets over there, gets a star, and then you get up to Boo, and you can steal a star from somebody else and get somebody really good and mad at you, and then go back around and do it again.
It does bring up kind of a good choice of path. I mean, if you're on Ride Island, you are on the right side island. Right. You are definitely going Agent of Chaos route. But what you cut yourself off from is shop and that passing go extra free 10 coins. And you really got to balance it out. Plus, if you really wanted to be a little bit of a butthead, I mean, paying the toll up to a huge amount of coins so no one can go over there and come back. Yeah, no, absolutely. You lock your friends over there.
Everybody hates you after. I try not to do that, but it is funny when you do.
Yep. If I'm playing with family and friends that I've been friends with for ages, no, it's expensive. But if I'm playing with you guys online, and this is kind of the first couple of games, we'll go up 1 coin. I'll be gentle. Let's wait a little while.
The right people, I can take it. It's all about that, all about that nonsense. Outside of that, I kind of drew a blank there. The other board, really all the boards in there I'm pretty happy with. Like I said, the Woody Wood one's a little iffy, but what else is there is pretty solid. Mm-hmm. And like I said, with the mini games, the ones they brought back, I can't really complain over that. I don't quite understand why they didn't add more than 5, mostly because one, the first game in the series in 99 had more than 5. Mm-hmm. This is way later, but also, I mean, I know they had to redo the art and all that sort of thing. The board layouts, they were essentially the same.
Yep.
So they didn't have to change as much as they would have to if they just made a full new board, I wouldn't think.
Right.
So, I mean, why not at least have 8? And I'm not asking for some crazy amount. I mean,
that's my new Smash announcement for Nintendo Directs. Instead of waiting for the next character, I'm when's the next board getting added? Come on, Sakurai. I know you don't have anything to do with this game, but
I can't cry about Banjo-Kazooie this time, I guess, because it's maybe really stretching it. But no, I feel like it is ripe for some additions. Give us some boards and characters and stuff, and we haven't heard a thing. It's been a few months now. They can be pretty slow with that kind of thing, but still,
they were. I mean, what was it? A year later, Super Mario Party got online added. So I mean,
it was a weird.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. It could still happen.
For sure. If it could use a little bit more content, it would be pretty much perfect. I'd be perfectly happy with it.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, with this one, I think the online's worked mostly pretty well for us.
Yeah.
I think we've had a couple little issues here, but I've seen a lot worse out of the out of Nintendo online games.
We've all done Smash. You know what those servers are like from Wii U days.
Now, one thing, I won't sit on this game too long because I know it's been out for a little bit, but with the original versions, there is one thing. I think the way they've redone these look great. I think that they look great. They play great. There is a small part of me that sort of misses the charm of the old static background boards on the N64. If you've ever seen those, how they look. They put a lot of little details in them. They were almost almost look like a pop-up book kind of thing in some ways. And, they wouldn't, some things would even move, but they might just kind of jerk back and forth or something a little bit. And honestly, there's a part of me that misses that. Maybe, again, that's just nostalgia. But, I could use a little extra details maybe at this point if they want to go back and add a few things like that. But again, for the most part, I think it's all been great. I know maybe you went back and played them now, I guess. Is there any boards in particular from the N64 games, especially, that you would like to see added, and if they go back and do that?
So really the only big one, I'd love to have some more of the Mario Party 1 boards just in general. Like that nostalgia level for that specific title. While it was later on in my life, those boards are the ones that I think I miss the most. The one that I can think of, and I can't remember any of the titles of them, but it was the one that was like the clouds going around Peach's castle, with the hot air balloon in the background. Like that's the one that I miss the most, just because of the simplicity of it, and it had a very Chutes and Ladders kind of feel to it, where you had your starting point and you were going to the end of it.
That's the Mario stage, I believe, in that game, isn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's my main one.
Yeah, I've thought about it before, and of course, I want like that Donkey Kong stage just because I like Donkey Kong from the first game. But what's funny is like I'm not like, and this may be offensive, I'm not like the biggest Waluigi fan. I don't hate Waluigi. I don't really get it. He's fine. He's fun to joke about.
He's a meme.
But I know. I actually really liked. I think it's Waluigi Island on Mario Party 3.
Ooh.
I remember going around there. It was a fun, slightly more complicated board, if I remember correctly, than a lot of the other ones. You had to unlock it. And I think it's one of the first boards I really remember getting into like a long 50-turn game we had going on for several hours with me and a cousin of mine. And that one just really sticks out. It felt like it lasted forever, which now you can only get a 30 turns, and it just flows quicker anyway. I wish you could still do that. Like, let me play for 4 hours if I want to. But no, I think if I were to pick
so
one,
they have the so they do have the where you can add turns as you're going. So maybe one day we just create this extra long game that we never finish. We play to a certain amount of time. We come back and pick it back up, add another 10 turns, and just go forever.
Right. It wouldn't be funny if it let you do that. It just never ends. It's like it's turn 101. Wait until I get in first. By the time it rolls around, I'll be like, yeah, I'll do some more. But yeah, I would say that's probably my most wanted for that. But I would take just about any of them at this point.
Absolutely.
Aside of that, there's really not much else I feel like that needs to be added to that game. I do hope we have a way to experience, or at least more people get to experience, like the GameCube games. But those have been like, completely absent from Virtual Console or the Nintendo Online service or anything like that. Because there's a lot of just good, solid Mario Party boards on there and mini games and things. And some of them have been brought back at least. But that just, can't be experienced right now. And they aren't things, I don't feel like, that age all that poorly, like some games do. I feel like you could take just about anything from many of these old games, for the most part, and move them up to pretty much what they did, the Superstars, and you're good to go. I mean, if they just want to do it that way. So yeah, I definitely hope to see more of that in the future. I feel like they could do a little more of this whole series than what they've done in the past. I'm trying to remember since about ND Cube took over. But I'm hoping Superstars in particular sold well enough that they see a good reason to continue on with everything, and hopefully, heck, just add to Superstars at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But yeah, that's probably about all we've got to say on that, unless you have anything else to add. Just if with Mario Party in general or Superstars. I know you've done pretty darn well when we played online. You've given me some good competition. I'm used to winning a good bit through the years, and I'm like, well, dang, this is tough. We've had some good matches.
Absolutely. No, the good matches. Like, speaking of, I heard everyone else's favorite game. What is your favorite minigame, Josh?
Oh, I don't think I did mention that.
No.
Well, there's like thousands of them, I feel like, at this point, and I tossed it around a lot, and I feel like I landed on a safe one with Book Squirm.
Oh, Book Squirm is really, really, really solid. So I'm more of like the reaction based stuff. So I like any of the home run derby kind of stuff, or even like the hard button mashing stuff. My favorite game is Pokey Pummel. That one's been a staple for that series. I love that game.
I think my friend Zach actually mentioned that one too, and I'll say like in Mario Party 4, I almost put, I think it was called Dominion, maybe. I almost put that as my favorite mini game just because of the memories I have of it, even though it's just a simple A button game.
Absolutely.
But I remember I've lost it a little bit over time. I want to get it back. I get tired with it real easy. But I was so stupid fast at it back in the day. Like, I think I got 130 hits in 10 seconds was my record on the GameCube.
Gosh, that's impressive. That's
like,
impressive.
Like my family, that was when I played a lot with my family. There's that and like Slime Time or something. You just hit the A button pretty much. And when we get to those, like they just quit. It was like, it's not gonna happen. So, you know, I always enjoyed being like untouchable on those for a while. I haven't played it in a while. I don't feel like I've still got it quite the same way. Maybe it's just the GameCube controller I could really get that grip on. It's like I could just go into full like shake mode.
Absolutely.
But so I almost put that one. I picked something a little more well known. Maybe I put that. It was between like that and Bumper Balls.
Bumper Balls is good.
Crazy Cutters, of course. It is. I really like the ones that you can just get in sort of like other chaotic fun, like the snowball one that's in Superstars. I can't remember if it was from 5 or something. I don't remember. But where you make the snowball up and you shoot it at each other and stuff. That one's a lot of fun.
Yes.
The one I will say on that one, now I'm just kind of telling goofy stories, I guess, but my wife and I, when we played it, she's kind of figured out she can get sort of, I don't know how to describe it without showing you, but she can sort of get behind me, and I can't, if it's just me and her left, and I can't get turned around to hit her. And we end up both winning, but it's kind of annoying because I can't get situated correctly.
I understand.
Yeah, so... Anyhow, with that being said, I guess we'll work on getting things wrapped up here. So, yeah, a big thanks again for jumping on here. And I wish we could have had Michelle and everybody on here as well, but things just didn't quite work out. That is just fine. And I apologize I couldn't find your list again. But we'll make it up to you.
I got kids yelling in the background. Sorry about that.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm just lucky that mine hasn't yelled yet, so we're good.
No, thank you.
That all being said,
thank you for having me, Josh. It's always a pleasure getting to talk with you. Getting to be excited about Mario Party. I'm looking forward to our next time that we come together and try to see who can usurp the throne of King of Mario Party.
Oh yeah, it is a good time. We've got a lot of stuff still coming out too, so see where that goes. Hopefully more boards. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Cody, I hope to have you back soon. I know you've been working on all these projects and everything. I know you've been in the group. Is there anywhere else that people can find you if there's anything you'd like to share?
So yeah, you can. So most of my stuff is kept on my Instagram. It's Cody Christian, Kody Christian, Christian. I don't do a whole lot of tweeting, but my Twitter's the same. It's Cody Christian, Kody Christian. Over there on Twitter, I don't do a whole lot of tweeting, but where you will find me the most often is actually over on the Game Boy subreddit, where I share a lot of my posts. You can follow me over there. Same username, u/Cody Christian. So those are my big socials.
Cool. Well, and you all should know at least mostly where to find us at Twitter, Nintendo Nostalgia, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. I've been working in particular on TikTok here and there, so we've got a few fun little videos on there for you guys if you want to check that out as well. But until then, we will see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Thank you, Josh. Bye.